Blah, blah, blah. Blah. Beep, 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 beep. Silicone. That pretty? Am I pretty? Am I pretty? I'll pull this off real quick. I'm gonna do one more of these. I've got a little bit of silicone left to be able to do another silicone mask. I thought I'd show you guys how I do that. I gotta pull these body pieces first. These are latex part 7 body pieces I make. So I gotta get these up out of the mold for a customer. And I'm gonna do these knees real quick. Pull these up, get this off the table. And then I will commence to making the silicone versions of this face and or this face. If you guys are, I don't do too many lives on the Instagram side except when I'm banned on Facebook, which I got 3 more days in Facebook jail to be banned on. So what I do is I compile a lot of videos of stuff that I make, paint, and do on YouTube. And the channel is called Carolina Kiwi Creations. You guys can see a lot of the stuff I make, paint, sculpt, all that. So if you want, head over to YouTube when you get a chance. Look up Carolina Kiwi Creations. You'll see me sculpting this guy, molding it, painting it, that type of thing. And also anything else I do, like these body pieces. These are the part 7 knees. Chris Russell, my buddy Chris Russell gave me these masters years ago. And I really haven't stopped continuing production on those. But that's what they look like in latex. I've got, this is one of the most popular things that I do is to make these pieces and do the body parts, but that's for a different day, I guess. Let me put this over here on the side. And I've got 2 more on the floor here, but what we want to do is get to this. So basically what this is my rendition of the 2022 Leatherface. I've done 3 or 4 masks. One is out right now being used in photo shoots, which I post the pictures. 2 versions, a slightly dead, rotted, decayed version here. And then a fresh, pretty much bloody face. That's a little bit more bloodier than I usually make them. But what I have here is a fiberglass mold of it. Right here. And all I do is, this is my core. This is an old CFX bus. What I do is, first thing before I get started, is I will release my core. Take a little Dawn dishwashing detergent and rub it on here. What this does is this keeps the suction of the silicone from sticking to the core. so I don't have so much of a problem pulling it off. I put the dishwashing detergent on there. Alright. Now some of the videos I've done on YouTube are speed videos, so I don't really go through a lot of explanation because they're so long. But I've got some time today, so I thought, you know what, I'll do this step by step for you guys so you can see it. Alright. So we got our core released. What we do now is grab a drug scale. I've got mine that's just all gunky with stuff. It's your typical kitchen scale. I call it drug scale because I like to be funny. And you get 2 cups. One for A, one for B. Now, I've used these cups before. So I can do the same cups as long as you keep them separated with whatever it is that you need to, whatever compound you use. It's Dragon Skin Medium 10, right here, part A. And what I do is I pre-mix everything. And get it open. Put it down where it doesn't get dirty. Grab a popsicle stick or a stick of some kind so I can pour this in there without losing anything. And all I do is just take my drug scale, measure this out on it. I have to zero this out. Okay. Now I also keep your sticks, whatever sticks you use, be sure to keep your sticks with, like if you use part A, keep that stick with the part A and get a fresh one for part B. I need to see something here. I think I've got the wrong unit down. There we go. I need to remeasure this. I have the wrong unit down, so. Okay. Need a little bit more. Just a little bit more. What the scale does is every once in a while when I cut it off, because I think the batteries need to be changed, the measurement dimensions change from like grams to fluid ounces or something like that. Somewhere it gets in there and gets mixed up. And I've got a predetermined amount that I use for each one. So I've got exactly what I need in this cup, the exact amount, gram-wise. I'll take this and set it aside. Then we take our A cup, put it on the A bucket, right there, so we can keep them separate. We bring the B cup over here, Put the B cup on the scale, zero it out. Get another popsicle stick, which, give me a second and I'll be right back. Get a fresh popsicle stick for the B. I put an additional one over there. So I've already released my core, so I don't have to worry about that. So I can mix this up, put it in the mold, and put it on there, on the form. Okay, same thing, same measurements, different side. New cup. I know about where it's going to be when it finishes out, but you can do this by weight or volume. It's better to do it by weight sometimes though, because if you do it by volume, sometimes they don't match up. But it can, and it usually does. So here we go. And B. Now, the measurements are done. Popsicle sticks with it. Drug scale out of the way. Now, what the idea is to mix both compounds into a bigger container. And the thing about this is, you can mix them both at the same time, but you have to color it. And you can color either A or B, however you want. The actual coloring is just the base of the silicone mask itself. All I'm doing is pulling out old silicone from this cup so I can use it. Again, peels right out, clean. So I basically have a clean brand new cup, aside from all the gunk on the sides. Alright? So what I will do is I will pre-mix this color here with compounds over here, which I have chill pig flesh right here. I can actually use that with the A stick. That's why you keep your stick separate, because you can use a mixing stick or the measurement stick. Take a dab of it, put it in there, and it mixes up thoroughly. You can use a bigger stick if you want, but I just use just get it kind of mixed up real well with one compound like this. You can mix them both together with this particular formula. But the thing is you've got so much working time with whatever formula you use. So to pre-mix a color with one formula is better. I dump it in here, because the time that you have to use on some of these silicones is shorter. This particular one, I have about 20 minutes working time, and there's a 45 minutes working time, something like that, and about a 5-hour demold time. Being relatively new to working with silicone in mass form, I elected to use this compound until I got more comfortable with making these things on a regular basis. So I would have more time in case I would like make a mistake or something like that. I have time to fix it. And when you use shorter time compounds of silicone, you have to rush and mix everything up and do all that. And I don't like to do that because you're going to mess up. And being somewhat new to this on the silicone side, I've worked with silicone as molding, and that's a little bit different from actually mask making. So on the silicone side of molding, mask making, I went with a longer compound. Okay, see how this A cup? I can take this A cup, the stick, stick it back over here, use it again. B. Now you can do this where you can mix your compounds equally, but it's not going to matter because both of them have to be mixed in the same container. So if you're using a shorter compound, say you got like 15 minutes working time or 5-minute working time on this thing, you want to thoroughly mix A with the color first, or B with the color first, and then you want to add the second one, because once they mix, the clock starts ticking, and when they mix, it starts becoming silicone as it should be. Now, this particular one, I don't have to worry about pre-mixing A and B because it's going to be all mixed together. But what I am going to do is, since I've got working time with this, I'm going to mix them together. I'm going to put my flocking and everything in there and make sure that I've got it all done. Any of you guys out there that are silicone artists, if I'm doing anything incorrectly, please let me know. This is the way that I kind of learned how to do it from Biddy Mold Supply and some other people. So it's been successful so far. It's not something that, everybody learns things differently. Now I've got here these 3 basic flocking compounds. A flocking is a fiber. There's red, there's blue, and then there is a flash. And I mix red, blue, and a little bit of flash in here to make sure that I've got, what this does is it keeps it from being flat looking. It actually gives dimensions to the skin tone. And you can make it as light or dark as you want. All this does is just suspends it inside the powder suspends itself inside the silicone, and it just kind of gives it color, where when I go back and paint over it and add paint to it, it will tint out a little bit in areas. Almost like seasoning. Just tap it like seasoning. You have all these mixed in here. And it's going to mix with it. It's going to make a little bit darker color. But it's all going to come out in the balance. It's just going to give this silicone a little bit more of a realistic look, rather than just a flesh color. And it's going to put coloration in the skin like people would have. And there's not really a manner of how much or how little of flocking you should use. It's all up to the individual. I don't really measure it. I just kind of just shake it out, eyeball it, that type of thing. I've done that with urethane rubber, so I've had some experience with flocking before. If you guys have got any questions, just feel free to ask. I'm going to try to be as incorporative with the conversation as I can. Like I said, I've done this on YouTube. It's up on my Carolina Kiwi Creation channel. Feel free to take a look at it if you got time. And, you know, comment, like, tell me what you think, what you like, what you don't like, etc. Doesn't matter. I'm pretty much open to anything and questions and all that, so. Okay, now we've got a silicone base that really looks like skin. Well, we have a problem here. You see how runny this is? If I put that in the mold, in this, and I put this up against here, it's not going to stay. It's going to slide down. So what do we do to keep this from being so runny? You got this little stuff here. This is a thickener for silicone. And what that does is it will make it a peanut buttery paste rather than a runny liquid. The silicone by itself is liquid, and it will be real runny. So what we have to do is we have to thicken this up to where it's like peanut butter. You put a couple of squirts of that stuff in there. It's like fiberglass. I've been doing this for so long with fiberglass and stuff. I just squirt, that's it. I don't really measure anymore. You stir it up. I've got quite a bit of working time with this, so. But I'm not going to try to like take the full 20 minutes to do this. You don't need it. You just got to stir it, make sure it's all mixed in really well. Now, what you're trying to do is get it to where it's thick and not runny like peanut butter, still runny. So we got to stir it up some more. And make sure, I'll show you guys the differences between these. Both of these were done in flesh tones like this. Both of these were done in flesh tones. So they were done with this, mixed like this. And how they come out is how you paint them. And this was done in flesh tones, and I add a little bit of dark brown and that type of thing to darken it up and make it look as gruesome as possible, rotted but not, you know. And then of course this one, you can see some of the different colors and stuff in the skin. Probably not the best lighting, but here on the top you can see some of the blue and stuff like that in there. It may or may not show up. I've got these available up on the Etsy store. They run about, there's a spring sale right now. I've got all the shit back here I need to get rid of. I've got a couple of masks back here I've had for years, and I've marked them down to like 50 bucks just to get rid of them. I got to make something on them, but you know, I need the room more than anything. So, if you guys go to the Etsy store, Carolina Kiwi Creations, and you see something you like there, there's probably a sale price because there's like one mask back here I painted that I got from eBay that, you know, I just painted up, thought, okay, you know, put it back on display, and you know, now I need the room, so I'm like, I gotta get rid of some of these. So I sell them. And, you know, they're basically just as I priced them, it was just basically the cost of the mask and a little bit of money for time and materials. That was it. You know, it's not outrageous prices. You won't see $400 Myers mask from me. None of that shit. I don't do that. The silicone masks are about the most expensive I've got. And of course, some of the resin and foam stuff I do, like the dinosaurs, are going to be a little bit more expensive, but I've got it marked down just to get rid of it, to get out of here, because I need the wall space. So do me a favor, if you will. Go to the Etsy site. Take advantage of me on there. You know, if you see something, even if you buy it and resell it, I don't care. You can buy it and resell it. Won't matter to me. Just buy it from me so I can get out of here and make more room for more stuff, because I've got more projects and stuff I'm doing. Alright, so now we've got a little bit thicker. We probably add a little bit more thickener in there. Just a little bit. It's not quite runny, but it's not sticking like peanut butter. So, I think you'll find the link in my Instagram. If not, it'll be on my Facebook page, Carolina Kiwi Creations. The Etsy store, there should be a shop link in there that you can just click and it'll take you right to the store. And you see all the different things I've got available. A lot of them, right now, they're going out the door are just eBay masks that I bought and painted. You know, that type of thing. Because somebody said, oh, I want to see you do a Freddy or whatever. And, you know, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Then some friends have sent me some masks and blanks of theirs. They want to see me do it and kind of help promote their stuff. So I do that as well. There's a couple back there on those. And then the rest are pretty much my creations where, you know, sculpted, molded, whatever. Now we've got thick peanut butter. See how that's staying on the stick? It's not dripping? That's what you want. You don't want something that's going to drip and run. You want thick peanut butter like this. Stir it just a little bit more. I can pretty much do a daggum Dairy Queen, you know, thing like that with a cup, turn it upside down, and have it not run out. A Blizzard thing, you know. You buy the Blizzards at Dairy Queen and they turn it upside down, you don't have it run out of the cup. That's what I want, basically. Okay, then we take the mold right here. This is basically fiberglass. You see me make this on the YouTube channel. What I do is I take this and prop this up. I need a brush for this. I get a paintbrush. You can use a stick. I use paintbrush a lot of the times. Put that up there. Put some of this out. I probably have a little bit more than I need for this mask, but I'm making a good one. A really good one. Also, I'll be bringing a couple of these next month to Carolina Fear Fest. Basically what I'm trying to do right now is just acquire funds for, so I put it in here, I take it and I just smooth the silicone out, brush it around. Try to get a bit of big, thick, thin, thick area. And the objective is to not see any red in this. It has to be all flesh. No red coloring whatsoever. That's why I pre-tint my fiberglass with gel coat, because it helps when you're using silicone and stuff to have it tinted so you can see how much you're using. I'm gonna put, I need something to prop this up on. Okay, there we go. I'll take a little bit more out. Put it in there and just prop it up on the sides. I always have to leave some for the sides of the ears, because right now the way I've got these structured is the ear loops on them are what is securing it to your head. I recently found out in the behind the scenes that they actually did a strap on the stunt mask so it wouldn't flop around and fall off the actor's head. So all I'm doing is brushing this up. You can see how it's sticking on the sides and it's staying, it's not running. See how it sticks up there? It doesn't run at all. Now me brushing it around thins it out a bit, but it does become, you know, a mask, and I have to put more in there periodically and thicken it up in areas, because you don't want it too thin to where you have weak spots. I've had that happen in a couple of them, and for me, I just incorporate that into a wound or a cut and use that to my advantage. It doesn't weaken the mask. And on these, I do not use, at this time, I don't use, because I make them fairly thick and durable, I don't have to use any of the stretch material. I forget what to call that. I can't think of it right now. But it's the sock stuff that you put as a backing for this. And they use it for a lot of the silicone masks. And I have some that I've ordered just in case, because I'm going to be trying some new things in the future. And I want to make sure I have enough to be able to do that with. And should the mask turn out too thin in some parts, it would be easier to have that flex fabric and use that to reinforce some areas of the mask. But at this time, I don't need that. So silicone is pretty durable material. You don't really need to. It depends on your mask, however you make it. This being a half mask, I don't really have any eye or mouth cupping to do with that. Now as I go down the line, I start getting more into silicone mask making. I will need to do that, and I will probably need to upgrade my core, which is this thing right here, and make sure that I have something that will allow for cupping. And cupping is basically the art of where you make the mouth and eye parts realistic to move. That's the movement ability in the mask, called cupping. And that's what you want when you need to have some motion and movement in whatever it is you're making. I don't have to have that on this because it's a skin face, so I don't need that. Stan Winston videos, by the way, I should give a shout out to them. They're the ones that really help with learning how to do this stuff, as well as YouTube. There are some people that will do tutorials and stuff on YouTube that do a great job. So, you know, those are the two areas I kind of learned pretty much everything on, and asking questions about how to do stuff. You don't have to spend, no disrespect to Tom Savini or any of the schools, but you don't have to spend $3,000 to go to school to learn how to do this. If you got the money for the materials, you can learn on your own. I respect and revere Tom Savini, you know, and these guys, but I'm not got the money to break out $3,000 to do this, you know, to go to school to learn how to do it. So, you know, it's not saying that that's a bad thing, but, you know, I personally can't do it. So I've had to learn how to do this on my own. And thankfully, I'm getting better at it. I mean, you know, I'm nowhere professional like Greg Nicotero or any of those other guys, but I aspire to be at that level someday. For basic fundamentals, I think I do pretty well. And it's not just to watch one video and, oh, I can do that. I've had to study and rewatch video after video after video after video, because I'm one that I have to build my confidence to even try something before I do it. So you actually almost religiously study the videos before you attempt something. I don't want to give any misconception that I'm like, oh, I just watch a couple of videos, run out and do it. No. I had to study like you were in school the videos to learn how to do this. Now you see how much time this is taking me, right? That's why I haven't gotten into the faster setting silicone on this particular one. Now if I were to do a mold that I had made for a full head mask, I could just brush it in real quick, slap it together, bolt it down, and pray it came out right. But I don't want to do that with this. I want to make sure and have the time to make sure that I can get it done right. So that's what you want, peanut butter, right there. That's what sticks to the sides of these things and makes it easier to maneuver and move around. Whether you do it troweling it with a stick or whether you do it by paintbrush. I like paintbrush because it spreads it out a bit, but then I'll also go in with a stick and smooth it out like I'm battering a cake. Because there are some areas that don't need to be as thick as I have it. Like the mouth region, I'll scrape it off the mouth here and just start battering it around. But the thing is to try to get this covered where you don't see any red whatsoever. And try to get about an even distribution as you can on it. And I try to evenly distribute it because where I sculpted it, the clay portion against this, because it's what I sculpted it on. The clay, negative part of the clay in this mold that is not there is only where the silicone is going to form. However, if there is a bunch in one spot, it's going to get squished where it's thick, and it's going to be a thicker part of the mold than I need it. So I don't need that. So I try to butter it out about as evenly as I can get on all sides before I put it on here. That way any thickness that may be there will get squished into, hopefully get squished into other areas. And anything that's thin, it's not going to be thin because I've pretty much got it evenly coated here. Now this is where I'll take I'll go around and just smooth it out with my stick. Make sure any thick parts get pushed around to the thin parts. I get some clinging to the stick, or take my brush again and just go around and just brush this in again in the areas that, so I can see with the stick how thick it is and how thin it is by dipping it. And I can go back in some of those areas and brush around to more evenly distribute it. The only problem is it gets a little grabby on the brush, so I have to stipple it in as well, because it'll want to pull away from the form or from the mold, because the silicone's a little thick, so it's going to get grabby like peanut butter and sticky. Kind of swish this around. I'll put it around the eyes. I try not to get too much over the eye holes, because I don't want it to be, in the spots where it's not supposed to be. But you know what? More concerned with the outlying layers of the mask first. And then when you stipple it like that, it gives an interior skin flesh texture on the inside as well. I've not taken to coloring these on the inside, only because, people are going to wear them. They're going to see the outside. They're going to see the front. They're not really going to see the inside. But if somebody wants one for display only, and they want me to color the inside, I can do that. I did a membrane on one that's out in photo shooting right now. And a friend of mine borrowed it for shooting photographs with it. And they're doing an excellent job, by the way. I mean, just tremendously excellent job. You see some of those photos of it on Instagram. Okay. So basically this is what the inside looks like when it's finished. You see how they're stippled? You don't see any red spots. Might be one or two low-lying spots here, which I got to brush over, but that's about it. Sometimes I've taken to making these a little thick in all areas, and then there are cuts and stuff that I have to gouge out in there in the mask. So I will have to like take a pair of scissors or a pick or something, or even a Dremel sometimes, and just cut out some of the areas where the mask is too thick. Not because it's because it's supposed to have a hole there. But, you know, if I made it too thin, it was a tear, it would be a possibility that it would tear throughout the mask. And that's what I don't want. Now, it's supposed to be thick enough to wear, but thin enough that it's skin like a skin mask. So that's the objective. And it can be hard sometimes to do that. Make that objective come true. I also can take a little small popsicle stick, like this one, scrape this off, and apply it in areas, and even with a smaller stick, where I think it needs to be done. And you can use a smaller stick to actually do the layering like a cake. And mind you, this is not done in a quote-unquote professional manner. This is me being totally amateur and doing it this way. Professional people probably have a totally different way of doing it. So please do not judge me by them, because I am no way, shape, means a professional. This is a hobby for me. Like, I can't, even though I was in taxidermy as a hobby and stuff, I can never line myself up with my friends like Ken Walker and Rick Carter and some of those guys I know that are world professionals, because, you know, I'm nowhere near their caliber. I never strived to be on that. I was just something I like playing with dead things. So, you know, and that's where the actual look for the flesh comes from. Me having taxidermy background, I know what real dead flesh looks like. So I'm able to achieve that in paint. So, you know, anybody that says, oh, no, it doesn't look real, I'm sorry. You want to take a look at my freezer and see what real dead flesh looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. And it's all in the paint skill that makes it happen like that. It depends on who wants what color and what kind and how they want it. Do they want it like rotted and decaying in a gray like steak, cooked steak? Do they want it freshly skinned, or do they want it really, really rancid? Like, I haven't done a really, really rancid one. That one back there that I did, that's the darker one, is about as close to rancid as I've gotten. And rancid means it would be green. It would have some green undertones and stuff on it. So it would be really, really really, really rotten. Got some of this on the flange. I don't need it. I need to put it out here on the thick of my neck. This process of battering it is what I take extra time with to make sure that it's evenly distributed. So when I put it on this form, if it needs to go into a different area, it can do so. So that's why it takes me a little bit of time to batter this thing properly. Because I don't want thin or weak spots anywhere in this thing at all. So it's always best to take a little extra time and make sure you do it thoroughly, rather than to rush it and throw it together and have mistakes that you have to go back in and fix with either that flex cloth or flex fiber or something else. So, you know, try to get it one and done instead of, you know, making mistakes. And when you first start out, you're going to make mistakes. That's a given. Anything you do. The more you do it, the better you become, the better it looks, the better it is. How to position some of this in some areas here that I'm wanting to make sure I'm 100% comfortable about. Some of these may be the cuts and stuff that's showing up, but, you know, I just want to make sure I've got them all covered and coated. And I go back in where the eyes are, and I take the silicone off of the eyes, off the back of the eyes, because I don't want it on there. I just want it on the skin around there. So I don't want to waste silicone by having to cut it away. And that gives me a little bit more to redistribute in other places in the mask that need it. All right. So now I can probably say that I'm ready to put this on here. I've got one little area here over the ears. Alright, so I've got it evenly coated all the way around. Pretty much evenly coated. No red areas except for the top of the eyes and the mouth. And one little stipple right here under the eyelid. Okay. Alright, so I've got that. Now, what I do, take the core, which I release with the Dawn dishwashing detergent. I put this on it, squeeze it back till it locks in place behind the ears. Push that in there, it'll snap on there. Snap-o! Right here on the bottom. See, that's the thing. If I have the silicone too thick in some areas, it won't mold to it. It'll squish. Then I turn it over, and I've got a little bit left in this cup. What I do is I get this out of this cup with a stick, and I go in behind the ears and put the silicone loops in over the ears. Flex cloth is what I was looking for, that, the word I was looking for that. Flex cloth. Now the reason I do this way is because if I had molded this around the ears, even though I sculpted it in monster clay, there was a chance that there would have been a lock behind it insofar as the clay and the sculpt and all that goes. So what I have to do is make sure there's no lock in the demold process of the fiberglass form with the clay in it. And that basically was done so I wouldn't have to cut the ears off of the thing. So I didn't do the loop behind the ears in the way that I wanted to, because I would have locked the actual fiberglass form to the mold, and it would not have worked as well. So I'm actually able to squish this silicone down in here from the top, make sure it joins the rest of the silicone that I've put in there, and try to get all of it in there so I don't waste any. Because this stuff is expensive. It's $900 for 5 gallons of this. $140 for 1 gallon kit. So you do not want to mess around and waste this stuff. I've got a little bit in here I've got to get out and put on here and just squish it down. It's what's called back filler. What I'm doing is I'm back filling the back of the mask around the ears and everywhere to get about as even a coat distribution as I can. I get my big stick, get out the big skillet, and I get it done. Get out the big skillet for my line for my favorite Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie Part 3. Alfredo is probably one of the most underrated yet funniest and really intense characters of the film outside of Leatherface. He is the one family member I absolutely love. More than anybody else aside even Leatherface. Leatherface comes second. Alfredo is first. I forget the actor's name. Tom something or other played him, and he did an excellent job. Tom Everett. That's it. Name just came to me. Tom Everett. I would love to meet him and go over some of the lines with him. I would love to. I've already done that with Kim Faree last year at the convention. Walked up to him and said, "Looks like you had a mishap." And he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, it's a line from one of your movies. It looked like you had a mishap." He picked up the cue right from there and knew exactly who said it, where it was from, and all that. And I was like, yep. That YouTube video is also up on the channel. That's the Carolina Fear Fest. No, Mad Monster Party last year, 2020. I go to these conventions about 2 or 3 times a year. So much I'm on a pretty much first name basis with Kane Hodder. He got so many fans and shit. I don't like to jump in the line and shit and try to get his attention. I wait till the end of the day when everybody's gone and talk to him, so I can have a little bit of quality one-on-one time and not take up anybody else's time. Try to be considerate like that. Not just for myself or Kane, but for other people around me. So, Okay, and we are pretty much done. We got no silicone in the cup. We're done. We can scrape this clean and clear. Patty it out. Smooth it out. Put some little divots in there. Put a little bit of swirl effect in there to make it look like it's skinned flesh. Because if you cut anything with a knife, it leaves it leaves a jagged line, so to speak. So I tend to make stroke marks, leave lines and stuff in there, as if the flesh was actually cut off. So when I paint the back in red, blood, and the other colors, it actually looks like skin flesh. And that's pretty much it. I will give you guys a close-up view of this on the back. So that's what it looks like on the back, where I've got it back filled and skinned out. And this takes 5 hours to dry. I'll leave it face down like that. Takes about 5 hours to dry. Well, I'll put it up. Not going to run anywhere. So I come back out in 5 hours time, peel it right off, peel the face out, and then this is what it looks like. And then I take it in the house and paint it up. All that blood and the coloring and stuff. I still put more blue and reds and stuff in there to whatever effect it may be. So there we go. And then, like I said, to show you guys real quick how these are worn. I'm going to put straps on the back of these. But see the ears? See? The reason I put straps on the back is because sometimes when you go down, your face down, depending on how thick and heavy, this is pretty thick, it'll slide off. So if I put a strap on the back, which I can do, which won't be too hard, I'll probably have to put it under the earlobes or maybe on top, one of the two. And just, you know, kind of figure that out, put it on there, but there you go. Not the exact Leatherface 2022 mask, but it's my rendition of it because I did not like the sad face. I figured, you know, if somebody killed your mother figure, you would not be sad as much as you would be pissed off and angry. And that's what I wanted to pick, a more angry Leatherface. So that's why I sculpted it the way I did, eye-wise. Pretty much all the other details are about as close to the original as I can get. I don't want to do these in a makeup thing, so I will not offer that option. If you guys buy one and you want to slap makeup on it, you can go right ahead, and I'll even tell you how to do that. But I don't want to mess them up by making a made-up mommy mask, whatever. Like, there's plenty of latex ones out there for that. And I personally don't particularly like that look. So, I mean, it's bad enough he's got to be transgendered. You know, I don't want to really, you know, make fun of that effect anyway. So, all right. So that's pretty much it for this. It'll sit here for 5 hours, cure, and then I come back out, peel it off, and pull it out. So you guys that are new to me on the Instagram, I do this quite often on my Facebook channel. I have two accounts. One is a main account, and then the other one's a backup. So when I go to jail on the main account, I can still do live from backup and then live from Instagram. All right. So that's it for this one. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. And we will see you on the next one. By the way, please go to YouTube, like, subscribe, comment on anything you see there. And let me know what you think. And we'll see you back on the next one. Thank you.